We are back talking about the Minnesota Vikings for our fantasy 2024 preview. And it's not the same old Vikings after 5 years or so. No more Kirk Cousins. We got some new blood in town. We actually just got some news about their quarterback, which we'll talk about here. Kirk Cousins, first time since 2018 that Minnesota will not be trotting out Kirk Cousins. So things are different. And because of that, you know, the quarterback is not really being drafted. Sam Darnold is going to be the guy. Actually, when I recorded all this information, JJ McCarthy was being drafted in round 15 of NFL fantasy redraft drafts. But that's going to change because he's having surgery on his knee, and we don't know when he's going to be back. Honestly, it could be Darnold for a good majority of the year. I think it was going to be him to start anyways. And now for sure he's going to be starting, and I would assume they're not going to rush McCarthy back at all. I don't think this team's going to be in competition for the NFC North. You got a lot of good teams there. So you see Sam Darnold's numbers there. Obviously it's a lot of, a couple games here and there. He played essentially one game with San Francisco last year besides a bunch of kneel downs. He actually looked all right. I think he rushed a touchdown, threw a touchdown. I've been saying since they signed Sam Darnold, like for dynasty purposes, you should get, Superflex Dynasty, you should be in on this guy. He's going to start, I think, and starting quarterbacks in Dynasty Superflex are super valuable. And here it is, Darnold. Any hope for Darnold, Dad? Do you think he can look good in a good offense with a good coach, throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and Addison, hopefully Hawkinson soon, Aaron Jones, all these guys? What do you think about Darnold? Can he be a top, a streaming quarterback in bye weeks or something, a top 20 guy essentially?
Well, we just go back to the number of 65 or 66 of how many quarterbacks started last year in the NFL. So what does that mean for Sam Darnold? That means he's probably not your number one quarterback if you got him on your team, but there's probably a pretty good chance that you're going to have to play him. And also, the coach, Kevin O'Connell, he's an offensive guy, ex-quarterback and stuff like that. If he can't cure Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold's big problem was turnovers, interceptions, fumbles, that type crap, and that was even like that in college. So, and of course he went to the Jets. Jets didn't help him at all, so he sat for a year with San Francisco, and so this is his year. I mean, the writing's on the wall. So what you see out of Sam Darnold, what you're going to see this year, that's who Sam Darnold is really going to be. Mm-hmm. And his fantasy numbers will probably be medium. They're not going to be great. I don't think they're going to be terrible. I mean, fantasy's forgiving on turnovers, isn't it?
Very much. And actually, I think there's some studies that look at, like, the more turnovers you have, the more fantasy production. Because if you're turning the ball over, usually that puts the other team in good position to score, and then you have to throw more, right? So, and it is forgiving, like -2 or something. I think he's going to be pretty good. You look at Nick Mullins last year. First of all, the Vikings, I believe 12 of like the 15 weeks where they had a quarterback start the entire week or entire game, 12 of the 15 times they were in the top 12 of quarterback finishes. That included Kirk Cousins, Joshua Dobbs, and Nick Mullins. You look at the 3 games that Nick Mullins started last year and played the whole game. It was week 15. Nick Mullins was the QB 11. Week 16, Nick Mullins was the QB 11 again. And week 18, where Nick Mullins was the QB 5. So, like, he was literally a top 12 quarterback. Nick Mullins, we're talking about. He threw for 400 yards twice. Like,
he also had a lot of turnovers. But
he did, but it didn't matter because it's forgiving, right? He had to throw more. he had to throw more because of those turnovers. I think they are going to try and balance it a little bit. They are a team that they're up with Kevin O'Connell the last couple of years. They've been 70% pass, 30% run, which is like the highest in the NFL. They might tone that down a little bit, but they're going to still pass the ball. And you got, again, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, if he's not suspended, TJ Hawkinson, hopefully he's good when he comes back in 6 weeks or so. Aaron Jones. So I think Darnold's going to be, we're going to be talking about Darnold, pick him up off the waiver wire, start him when your quarterback's on a bye type of situation. So he can move a little bit as well, Sam Darnold. Like, he's not a statue. He's not a pocket guy, like pure pocket guy. Like, he can move a bit. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson, but I think it was him that had like he had like a big run one year. Maybe that was Zach Wilson, but you just look at his game log. He's had a few games of over like 30 yards rushing and stuff. So just something to think about. And I think Darnold can kind of steady the ship for the pieces that we really care about on this team, which is starting with the running back, Aaron Jones, the moves from the Packers to the Vikings. He's been a fantasy guy. If you've been playing fantasy over the last 5-6 years, Aaron Jones has been one of the guys that we talk about year in and year out. Kind of burned fantasy owners last year. He was hurt, but something to point out is like his stretch to end the season, including the 2 playoff games, was awesome. His last 4 games in the regular season, he had 53 yards rushing, 127, 120, 111 in the playoffs, 118, 108. So over a 5-week span, the guy was rushing for like 600-700 yards. His efficiency's still there. He's a good pass catcher. Where do you think about Aaron Jones this year? He's going in round 5 as the RB18. Do you like that? Do you think it's a little concerning because he's 29 years old, or where are you at with him?
Yeah, he's 29. I thought he was like 31, but
he's 29.
Okay.
He'll be 30 in December. So he's essentially 29 most of the year.
What? I'm sorry, what round?
Round 5, pick 54. So that's middle of round 5.
I don't know.
As RB18.
Guy, yeah, he had a wonderful last third of the season last year, I think it was, and the guy's kind of been pretty good for a number of years, but I don't know, fifth round pick. I don't know. That might be. What are some examples? Do you have examples of who's being picked around running backs?
Yeah. So let's just say it's the beginning of the 4th. You're looking for a running back. You could take Alvin Kamara or Aaron Jones. By the way, these are all half PPR numbers here. Do you want Kamara or do you want Jones?
Jones.
Okay. I'd probably lean Kamara, but
I think I like the Minnesota offense better.
That's fair.
The coach, I like the coach better. And I know, I'm treating this like, like a football team. So, I mean, that's how I kind of try and figure out, hey, is this guy fit in? And Kamara, he's not a slouch or anything like that. I'm not sure. Things kind of seem a little dysfunctional down in New Orleans or something for some
that's
reason.
fair.
But yeah.
What about Aaron Jones versus David Montgomery?
Oh, Montgomery.
Yeah, especially with the Gibbs potentially.
Yeah,
a little bit of time.
That's right.
Yeah, Aaron Jones or James Conner?
Oh boy, I'm liking James Conner this year. I've been ignoring him for 2 or 3 years, and the guy's been proving me wrong. So I want to go. I got to lean towards Conner, man.
Yeah, I think I agree. And then last one, Aaron Jones or Ramondre Stevenson?
Probably Aaron Jones.
Yeah, that comes down to the offense. Like New England's offense could be horrendous. So that's the problem with Aaron Jones. Like I'm fine kind of where he's going, but he's also in that range of like Kenneth Walker. I'd rather Kenneth Walker. Alvin Kamara. I'd rather Kamara. Montgomery, I'd take Montgomery. James Conner, I'd take Conner. Stevenson, that's where the debate comes. Guys after that, okay, Swift, Zamir White, Najee, I'll take Aaron Jones. But yeah, that's kind of the issue. Is there's other guys that I like around him that I'm probably going to take over him. So I don't think I'm going to roster him. But I'm not upset if I do. I do think he has left in the tank. He's not a big carry guy. He's been playing since 2017, and he has less than 1,200 carries on his body. Now he does have 275 catches, so we're talking about over 1,400 touches. But he's not like Derrick Henry with 2,000. So I still think we can get a very good year out of Aaron Jones. Again, you look at it last year, he basically averaged about 88. Yeah, he averaged 88 total or 80 total yards a game, right? You stat that out over 17 games. That's almost 1,400 yards total, right? And that's very similar to what he was doing with his big years in Green Bay. Touchdowns, we'll see. They could run the ball a little bit more. So I'm not. Like, if I can get him in the 6th round, I love it. I'm probably going to lean one of those other guys unless they're all off the board, then I'm okay with it. So Ty Chandler is the other guy to talk about. Sounds like they're going to use him. They said 1A, 1B. I doubt it's going to be 1A, 1B exactly. It could be like 65-35, 60-40 maybe, which we've seen with Aaron Jones in the past with Green Bay. But Ty Chandler, I think, is a rosterable player. I kind of only want Ty Chandler if I have Aaron Jones, kind of handcuff them together potentially. But I don't know. He's a round 13 pick, Ty Chandler. He's a bench guy that I think is going to get a little bit of run. And then if Jones gets hurt, which we're talking about a 29-year-old guy, then, he could kind of Ty Chandler to the moon type of thing. So anything to add on Ty Chandler there? I mean, he's essentially a backup.
Yeah, I think he had a pretty good near the end of the year last year. They were using him more, and he seemed pretty good. When they were giving him carries and stuff like that. So, so just somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah. He'll be drafted. You're drafting. Again, most people play 16 rounds. He's round 13, so he's like your second to last bench player, which is fine. That's totally fine. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 3 this year, probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, there's debate there, but he's had one of the best start to an NFL career. You see the numbers there. He's been top 5 in the last 3 years in half PPR. He's 25 years old. He just got paid. The biggest question and concern with him was the quarterback play. It's going to be Darnold. Does that scare you off Jefferson a little bit? Like, do you bump him down below Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, guys like that, or do you?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's mild concern, but I mean, I don't think Sam Darnold is. It's not like Zach Wilson or something like that. So I think he's a little better than that. So, and he's been in the NFL. We're talking Sam Darnold 6 or 7 years. So no, I still think of Jefferson, right up there with those guys that you mentioned.
Yeah. I've been saying it throughout these videos. There's an elite 8 players this year. I hope I have a top 8 pick or get one of these 8 guys. It's CMC, it's Tyreek Hill, it's CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan, Breece Hall, and then Justin Jefferson. So if you want to put Jefferson at 8 because of the quarterback situation, I'm not going to argue too much because I like those other guys a lot. But he shouldn't be falling past 8. If you get him past 8, you're getting a steal. The 4 weeks, there's only 4 weeks, so it's a little hard. It's a small sample size, but he played 4 full games without Kirk Cousins last year, and Justin Jefferson was the wide receiver 3. Like, it didn't really matter. He had 84 yards, 141, 59, and 192. Like, the dude was still awesome. And he somehow had 1,000 yards last year, even though he missed 7 games, which is pretty impressive. Jordan Addison is an interesting one because he's done some dumb things in the offseason. He was a very good rookie, over 900, almost 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, which is an awesome rookie year. A lot of it was with Jefferson, those 7 weeks that Jefferson missed. He was much better during those 7 weeks. He's going around 8 as wide receiver 39. He has this court stuff set up for early October. And essentially, like, if he contests it and says, oh, I'm not guilty, then he probably not going to get suspended, because the NFL likes to wait for what does the court say? What is the ruling, the official ruling? But also, he was passed out on a freeway, in drunk, essentially. So, like, how much can he argue? Could he just say, yeah, guilty, give me the 3 games or whatever suspension? There's definite possibility. So, are you kind of out on Addison right here in round 8 as maybe your wide receiver 4? Or do you want to go ahead and grab him and just deal with the potential suspension? Because if he's not suspended, this feels like a little bit of a steal, in my opinion.
Yeah, somehow they push those cases. They kind of go to the off season. That's like what's his face in Kansas City, Rashid Rice. You just have the feeling it's going to go, longer. There's lawyers. They advance the case and stuff like that. And the NFL's really not going to do anything until, like you said. So good steal,
I think so. Like, again, he's round 8. So let's just say you start off all running backs and wide receivers. He's at least your wide receiver 4, maybe your wide receiver 5. And the big thing is like, there's going to be no TJ Hawkinson for potentially the entire first half of the season. So we could talk about this offense is Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, and he could, absolutely be a steal. I think he's a good player. And he's being pushed down because of the quarterback situation as well. And even if he doesn't get suspended, this is a steal. So I might take a chance on Addison as a round 8 pick, and just hope that he kind of improves on what he did last year, with in mind that he might get suspended. But again, at the same time, round 8, if you play in ESPN leagues, you only have a starting roster of 7. So, like, he's a bench guy for you. You're not even relying on him. So, to be a starter. So most people play a little bit deeper, but you should be able to survive even a few game suspension if you're taking him here in round 8. So, and then I'll bring up his name. Jalen Naylor seems to be the wide receiver 3 for the Vikings. He kind of preseason stuff kind of points to him being the wide receiver 3. He's a third-year guy, hasn't really done much. Pretty speedy, I believe. But he's a name to keep an eye on just in case Addison does get suspended, and maybe you can plug him in during those heavy bye weeks or something. So, like we've seen with KJ Osborne in the past. And then TJ Hawkinson. Here, he's 27 years old. He's the tight end 13. He's going around 10. So he's still going relatively high. The news came out that they hope to have him back in the first half of the season. I assume when he goes on PUP that his ADP is going to drop. He's an awesome tight end. He's one of the best in the NFL. Like, he's going to be top 5. If he's healthy, he's top 5 tight end easily, but he's not healthy. And I think he's going to miss most of the first half of the season. And for fantasy, that's over 50% of your regular season. If you have an IR spot, okay. I don't want to take him with the 10th round. I always tell people, okay, if he's out 6 weeks, always add at least 1 to 2 games to when they're out, because he's out 6 weeks. You're not going to start him week 1 because you don't know, are they going to ease him in 50% of the snaps? So you want to see a good game from him. So if he's out 6 weeks, he's really out 7 weeks. Keep that in mind. I think round 10 is a little bit too rich for me, considering he's going to miss the first half. If he drops to round 12, 13, and I have an IR spot, then I'll pick him up and stash him on the IR. But do you disagree with that with Hawkinson, or you?
No, I would agree, but we just don't know how much time he's going to miss. I thought what's his face McConnell said that he's going to start on the PUP list. So
Yeah, I think he definitely starts on the PUP list.
what is
We won't
what is the PUP mandatory for? Is it
6
4 weeks?
games. I think.
6 games?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah.
That's a lot of time to be missing a pretty good guy because
No,
then you got to waste not waste, but then you got to pretty much draft a guy to play in his spot.
I think they might have actually changed that down from 6 to 4.
Okay.
The PUP list stuff. So it's either 4 or 6. I don't expect that if he's back before mid-October, I'd be a little bit surprised. So they're going to take it slow. This team, I don't think, is going to be contending. And that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, what's the rush to bring him back? Obviously he doesn't want to miss the entire season if he could play. But obviously, this team's kind of in a soft rebuild a little bit. They have Hawkinson under contract for until 2027. So there's not a huge rush to bring him back. So I'd be very surprised if he is back anytime before the first 6 weeks. So, and then again, your fantasy regular season's over after week 14. So you're essentially missing the entire first half of your fantasy regular season. So again, if it drops and you have an IR spot, I'm in on it, but I'm not taking them in round 10. Like just looking at, there's other tight ends that you can take over him. And, guys like Dalton Schultz, Pat Freiermuth, guys like that are going to produce for you at least. So I think that's it with the Vikings. Oh, I guess I should bring up their backup tight end. There's Josh Oliver and Johnny Munt. Johnny Munt, I believe, was the tight end that was doing something last year when Hawkinson got hurt at the end of the regular season. So let me double check that real quick. Yeah, Johnny Munt had 7 and 6 targets in the 2 games that Hawkinson missed. He had 40 yards, 58 yards. He had a touchdown. So essentially he had 100 yards and a touchdown and 9 catches over 2 weeks. So you're looking at 4 or 5 catches, 50 yards, and half a touchdown. Something to know. Like maybe you can throw him in, but he's a waiver wire guy. So that's it with the Vikings. We love Jefferson just because it's Jefferson. Aaron Jones is interesting, and then Addison, we like the value, especially if he's not suspended. But anything else to add to these Vikings?
No, and they should be a relevant team. They're not. You got Detroit and Green Bay and Chicago, all up and coming in the NFC North. So where do the Vikings fit in? Yeah, I don't know. They're going to make a big run with Sam Darnold, but
they'll be competitive for sure.
Yeah, they will. And there's some good fantasy players. We 2 of the best, Jefferson and Hawkinson, when they're healthy. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they'll be competitive, but they'll be one of those teams where it's like, they're 4-13, but they lost a bunch of close games or something. So sucks about McCarthy, which, hopefully we get to see him at the end of the year. He looked good in preseason, the first preseason game, but we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back talking about kind of a gross team, the New England Patriots. So look forward to that.